Hey everyone. Hello. I am here. Gonna be going live a lot more, which is super exciting. I'm glad to be back on here. And I've reopened my group, by the way, my Facebook group right now. It's called Divinely Inspired Life, but not gonna lie, that's probably gonna change. But it's good to be back on here. And a lot of you I know saw my post today and my post last night about the dark night of the soul. And for any of you who don't really know what that is, it's a period of time where everything seems to be coming up. So it's where you're feeling all of the darker feelings. You might be having darker thoughts. You might be feeling energetic shifts. You might be drained. You might be really, really super emotional. And just so we're clear on this, at the time of this video, so this is what, October 11th, 2021, there are multiple planets in retrograde right now. Including Chiron, I believe. So there are actually a lot of planetary shifts going on. And sometimes that affects people, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends. But the dark night of the soul can happen at any time. It can happen at any time, whether the planets are shifting or not. It just doesn't help that right now it's going through like a really emotional, shifty time. But it can happen at any moment, you know, when basically your soul, your inner child is asking you to process something. And that's usually why we go through these. Something is out of alignment, right? Something's out of alignment in your life, or maybe in your thoughts, or with something that's going on. Or maybe some things have been piling up for a while, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, like it all comes together and everything comes up. Every little trigger, sometimes some past memories, some past trauma will come up. It's almost like a purge. I just went through this over the weekend, hardcore. Probably the hardest, most difficult of my entire life. It was really, really dark. And I'm being totally transparent about this. No matter how much work you do or how spiritual you are or how much you do any of your rituals or energy management, it can happen. It's going to happen. It's part of the journey. So this video, I wanted to just tell you one thing that I encourage you and invite you to do when you go through this dark night of the soul. I think a lot of times people's first instinct is to be scared shitless of it and be like, oh my God, like I don't want to feel this, and do anything they have to do to not feel it, not go through it. That might mean numbing yourself through like shopping, eating, drinking, partying, like doing whatever it is, some sort of a habit that doesn't really serve you as a coping strategy to numb out, or just scroll, social media, or be, sitting in front of the TV constantly, sleep, really, I mean, sleeping is fine. You got to rest during this. Rest and self-care is important, of course, but you know what I'm saying, just sort of like using it to totally check out of it so that you don't have to face it is really not going to serve you in the end. It will come back. So the best thing that you can do is just allow it. That is allow and surrender. And I know it's so hard and sometimes easier said than done, but trust that spirit is always guiding you towards your highest good. So spirit doesn't make mistakes. If you are going through this, if things are coming up for you, know that they're coming up because they're being asked to be released. They're not coming up to haunt you. They're not coming up to torture you. You're not going to fall down the black hole or the abyss and not be able to get out, okay? It's time we sort of normalize these darker thoughts and darker emotions, normalizing the dark. Know that the light always comes after the dark, but normalize the dark. And that means surrender and allow. So that was something for me that was completely different than what I've ever done before during my dark nights of the soul, or sometimes you can call it shadow work. And that's probably why all of this came back so hardcore, was because I sort of, bypassed a little bit. I didn't allow all of it. I resisted some of it. Like when we're in resistance to it, we're in resistance to feeling bad because we're afraid of the negative emotions. Or maybe you've been told by spiritual coaches, healers, teachers that, good vibes only, positive vibes only, high vibes only, or that If you have a dark thought, you're going to manifest it to you. I want you to know that's not fucking true. If you have dark thoughts, you're not going to manifest them in your life, okay? That's a whole story for another video about thinking things into existence that has some truth to it, but this whole part of your soul's journey is not that. You're not going to manifest bad luck or awful things if you have, darker emotions, or you have, thoughts and feelings about things. Your thoughts and feelings are there to tell you something's out of alignment, or something needs to be seen, heard, processed, healed, and gone through. And the only way out is through, like I said in my post. If you're going to truly heal, you're going to truly ascend, and you're going to really go through this and feel it all, so that it doesn't kind of come back here and there. Because sometimes all of our things that we've pushed down, they run the show with our entire fucking life. They run the show. They are the decision makers. They're in the subconscious. Even if we think, no, we're not, it's not in our head. We're not consciously thinking about something that happened 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. We're not, thinking that we're operating out of some trauma response. We're not sure why we're triggered by all these things. If we're triggered, if we're frustrated, stuck, living a life that we don't really find fulfilling, happy, usually there is some work to be done. Something else other than your higher self is driving the bus. And so when that happens and we live like that repeatedly for years and years and years, then that's when these shadow work or these dark nights of the soul come up. Because it's like, hey, we're going to make you feel this and see this so you can finally release it, and then you can ascend to your next level of whatever it is that you want to create in your life. And it's never too late to do this, by the way. Like, it's never too late. I'm 50. Like, it's never too late. And even, so if you're loving life and you're not feeling this and you're completely fulfilled and calm and then high five to you. Like, high five. Love the shit out of yourself. Pat yourself on the back, hug, soul hug, because that's awesome. I know there are so many others out there who don't live that way, who don't feel that. Like, they're all smiles on the outside. Their life looks good on paper, but then inside they're screaming. Like, their soul is like screaming, like something's wrong, or I don't feel right, or this is making me crazy and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what it really even is. And then there's sort of like, especially if you're a woman and a mom, then the guilt comes in and you're like, I should be grateful. Like, there's nothing, oh my God, like, I can't, it's not that you don't love your family or you don't love, whoever. It's just like, but there's still something off and you just don't know what it is. And you can't remember the last time you felt happy and fulfilled or joyous or whatever, outside of maybe doing things with your family. Things for you that light you up, okay? So when we deny all of that, we push down all of that for years. And when I talk about this stuff, it's because I've gone through it more than once, okay? More than once. I was the queen of living unconsciously from 16 to 37, a queen of unconscious living, didn't know what the hell I was doing, what I wanted, who I was, and just made all my decisions out of a place of bullshit. So I know, and so it's no surprise for me that I get this dark night of the soul thing. There's a lot to process that still comes out, things that, things from the past, things from the present, things that you just, you need to cry out. You need to just scream it out, whatever you need to do. The key is, like I said, allow, surrender, to trust that God's spirit knows what it's doing. It's not going to hurt you. You're not going to go over the edge. And this is disclaimer. If anyone needs to go to a therapist and be on, antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds, do it. This is not to say don't do any of that stuff. Okay, absolutely not. There's a place for things like that. I'm just talking about truly, your thoughts alone will not cause you physical injury. Your thoughts alone, or you're going through this process, it's usually decisions we make as a result of these thoughts, sometimes that hurt us. But the actual process itself was not there to hurt you. It's actually asking you to release. So if you surrender to it, not fight it, and not try to numb it out or make yourself happy, put on your happy face and do something and just say, no, this doesn't feel comfortable, I'm just going to do something else, and just allow yourself to feel like, shit, I'm not okay right now. I'm not okay. Yesterday, my husband was like, oh my God, never, ever, ever has seen me in that, be that dark. And he's been with me for 12 years, never, ever, ever. But it's okay. that's totally okay. Like I had to go there. I had to do these things. Doesn't mean I'm trying to manifest any of this in my life. Doesn't mean that, anything. It's just, it's like a cat coughing up a hairball, like you've got to let it go. But I had to surrender and trust that Spirit knows what it's doing, and I'm here experiencing and feeling this for a reason, and I have to let it out. If I push it down, if I don't want people to think I'm weird, or people get scared by what I'm saying or whatever, or think that I'm wrong or crazy, then it's just going to come back and it's not going to fully heal. I'm going to continue to make decisions that are out of a place of fear, out of a place of doubt, out of a place of insecurity, out of a place of just not knowing myself well enough. And fuck that. I lived that life long enough. So this is such important work to do. So surrendering to it and allowing it to move through you. Just move right on through you. Like, the water, the waves, the tide goes in, the tide goes out. Let it move through you. And it may take a while. I can't promise you when it's going to get better or when it's going to start and stop. But I promise you, when you come out on the other side, it is the freedom like you've never known. Like this beautiful, beautiful freedom, emotional freedom, this feeling of centeredness, groundedness, this feeling of clarity, this feeling of just like, it's ascension, really. It feels like that. Like, like I just shed another layer of skin, and that I just lifted a huge backpack off my back, and it feels so good. And now I'm so much more clear. I've forgiven myself. I maybe have forgiven other people. I maybe like the trauma just released from my nervous system physically, so my shoulders aren't like freaking boulders. You know what I'm saying? You're like, your body spends its day in fight or flight. I'm still trying to unwind that. I'm still trying to, I'm not over yet, but I can feel one more layer. My shoulders are down a little more during the day. I'm not holding my breath or holding up my shoulders, or they don't feel so tight. Like you'll see the layers of the onion gets peeled off, and you're like, like now I can really live. Damn. And we don't think of this stuff sometimes, but that's what I wanted to share with you. Surrender and allow, those two things. You would not be given this situation if you couldn't handle it and you couldn't process it and go through it. It's asking you to learn this lesson. It's asking you to go through this. It's asking something to be seen and heard and validated and allowed to go through you. So do that. If you have any questions, message me. I'm totally here to talk or help anyone with this, because I know it's not easy. It's so not easy. And sometimes if we're not willing to go through it and process it fully, then we live in that space. You might live in that headspace of real negativity, just beating the shit out of yourself, and just really living on edge, restless, I'm still about to jump out of my skin, and I don't know why. And I still feel like my life is falling apart, but yet it's not, but yet what the hell, right? Or you find all the shitty situations coming at you, and you're like, see, I knew I had bad luck. See, all this stuff sucks. I just can't win. And that's bullshit. That's a total mind game. That's old programming from your life, which is fine. It's normal. Almost all of us have it. I highly doubt that there are many absolutely perfect families out there where there's no childhood trauma or some sort of limiting beliefs. We all have them. And I say this out of love and respect for all of you, for myself, all of our ancestors. This is just the journey. This is why we're going through all this. If not to learn and ascend or grow, then why are we doing this? So it's just part of it. So just, there it is. That's all I can say to you today. And I hope this helped you. If it does, let me know. Drop me a comment if you have any questions or things or a message. If you think this is helpful, this video, please share it with your groups or share it with your friends or family or someone who needs to hear this. Because this is the past 2 years. This is all, we're all up in it. And we need help because we don't want to stay there in it. You don't have to stay there in it. And that's the key. And if we help each other with that, imagine what a wonderful world that we'll end up with if we're all helping each other get through the shadows, especially right now. All right. I love you all. If you want to check out any of my readings and coaching packages, just look at the link in my bio. It's a linktree/Jen Roop. I have my New Year's mega reading that's available for booking right now with a chakra clearing meditation as a bonus. bonus. So it's like a huge reading, goes over every aspect of your life. What's coming up in 2022? Let's see the energy. It's so good. My clients love it. And if I didn't delete my business page like a like a techno fool, I would just put some of those testimonials. But what was I thinking? But anyways, it's all good. Divine timing. Spirit knows what it's doing. So for some reason it meant to be gone. But we're rebuilding. And so I'm here for you. I love you all, and I will see you soon.